Hi guys! You must love Starbucks and the fall season if you clicked on this video. Today I will be showing you how to create these iconic Frappuccino themed cake pops that are filled with pumpkin spice and everything nice. All inspired by Starbucks recently launching their fall menu. I was kind of disappointed they forgot the pumpkin spice topping on my Frap the other day, but we're not going to make that mistake. So let's make them together and be sure to keep on watching. I can't even describe how delicious this pumpkin cake mix really is. It tastes very similar to a cinnamon coffee cake, so you need to get yourself a box of this perfectly pumpkin right now. They are selling out super quick and you'll see why. We are combining 1 box of that with 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, and the rest is enough water to equal 1 cup of liquid. Heavy cream makes such a difference in the taste and texture of your cake pops instead of using milk. And guys, I wanted to welcome you if you are new here. You don't want to miss out on my spooky Halloween treats. So make sure you join the party and subscribe to see more of my videos every week. Also going in are 3 whole eggs and 1/3 cup of oil. Then I'm giving this a mix until all the ingredients are incorporated. One of my tips and tricks for creating convenient cake pops are to make cupcakes. That way the cake crushes up quick and easy by putting the batter into a 12-cup muffin pan lined with cupcake liners, and you can pop them in the oven for 20 minutes at 350 degrees or until a toothpick comes out clean. Just be careful not to overbake these to prevent any brown crusty pieces from getting into your cake pop dough. We don't want that. These smell so amazing right now. I'm just allowing them to slightly cool until warm. They break up a little easier when they're warm anyway. You can remove the liners and throw the cupcakes into a food processor to make the cake pop dough. All you are going to do is grind everything up into fine crumbs that form into a compact piece of dough when you press them together. I know that you were probably expecting me to add buttercream to this. Surprisingly, this amazing class that I learned from used a no buttercream method, so there's no worries about the cake falling off of the stick or becoming too greasy, yet your cake pops still have no cracks. Now I'm working that dough and kneading it into a ball. Although the pumpkin cake appears slightly drier than vanilla cake, I promise after chilling the dough overnight, it will be much easier to work with. Put those gloves on and get ready to shape. This is a pumpkin mold from My Little Cake Pop, and before starting, the dough needs to be at room temperature. First, I'm squeezing a small amount of dough in my hands and shaping it into a tight ball. As tight as possible helps to achieve a crack-free surface. And another trick is to glide it across a silicone mat instead of rolling it in your hand. It will work out all the cracks for an ultra-smooth finish. Next, I'm placing the ball right into the mold and pressing it completely down, then removing the excess off the top and sides. It is important that the mold completely closes or you will see a line from the seam, so remove as much as needed until it shuts, and the top part should be completely flat as well. Go ahead and open the hinge and you have a perfect pumpkin all ready to dip. These are the decorating supplies for the pumpkins, and I will be sure to provide the links in the description box below. To melt my chocolate for dipping, I'm microwaving a bowl of white merkins for a round of 30 seconds, and once that's done, give it a stir. After that, continue microwaving 10 seconds at a time until completely smooth and melted. I melt with a more gradual approach to prevent overheating. This is optional, but I always check with a food-safe infrared thermometer that the chocolate never goes above 90 degrees. To dye our chocolate, I'm mixing in color mill in the shade orange. The packaging shows it is more of a burnt orange color, but keep in mind it is more neon if you haven't tried it before. The great thing about candy coloring is it thins out the chocolate to an ultra fluid consistency that's ideal for dipping. Inserting the sticks into the cake pops is one of the main keys to success. For this, I dip my lollipop stick into a small amount of the melted chocolate and shake off the excess so it doesn't run down the stick, and insert it into the center of the bottom part of the pumpkin as far as the stick goes without going through the other side. I do this as soon as possible after molding the pumpkins to ensure the dough is fresh and doesn't crack. I let them sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to allow the chocolate to create a seal around the cake. I recommend when dipping to use a deep dipping container or mug and quickly dip the pumpkin literally in and out of the chocolate. I don't advise to twist them around to coat for too long because a thicker coating of chocolate will cover the beautiful rind of the pumpkin and instead it will look like a blob. Less is more here. The goal is a thin coating. Also, tap lightly when shaking the excess chocolate off and always take your time. For our simple and cute stem decorations, I cut up some pretzel sticks and attach them on top of the pumpkin with melted chocolate. I hold it down for 15 seconds, that's my magic number, and our pumpkin cake pops are complete. All we are missing are these Starbucks Frappuccino cake pops. These are such a must for pumpkin spice season. The first color for the cup was made with mostly white chocolate melts and a few milk chocolate ones, melted using the same method as we did before for the orange chocolate, and I mixed in a few drops each of color mill in orange and caramel for the Frappuccino shade. This balance gives it that pumpkin spice look without being too dark or too orangey. The second color for the drizzle consists of half white and half milk chocolate as a base with orange mixed in to bring out the caramel color for the drizzle. The cup molds I'm showing you today are from the Sugary Essentials shop on Etsy, and I will link that down below as well. My favorite way to drizzle in the cup mold is with a plastic squeeze bottle fitted with a tip number 2. You can also use the plastic bag technique that you traditionally would to drizzle, but I find I have much more control of the pressure drizzling inside the small cup, and you could go at your own pace without the chocolate constantly running out of the hole in the plastic bag, but it's all according to your preference. Comment down below if you love the effect of the drizzle. The drizzling chocolate should be slightly thick when doing this. If it's runny, let it sit for a minute before loading the mold with the Frappuccino color so that the drizzle doesn't get disrupted when we turn the mold over. It's okay if it's a little messy after you have those filled. Dump the extra chocolate back into your bowl and clean around the top edges of the cup. If you have made hot cocoa bombs in a silicone mold before, this process is a lot similar. I'm chilling these for 10 minutes and taking them back out of the fridge to reinforce any thin areas with the extra melted chocolate and a brush. In my case, I reinforced the bottom since the edges of my cup were pretty thick already. I chilled them once more to set the reinforced layer, and at this point, we are creating a barrier by filling the molds about a quarter full with cake pop dough, pressing to smooth it out, and brushing over the cake with a layer of melted chocolate. You only need to do this if you plan on putting them on sticks, otherwise the cup will fall through the stick and won't be supported properly. I know it's strange, but just trust the process, guys. Give these another 10-minute round in the fridge and fill all the way to the top with the remaining cake pop dough. I patch up the edges by blending small scraps into the larger piece of dough. It's time to remove these cute cups from the mold. I start by gently loosening them a little at a time and pushing up from the bottom. This is why it's important to reinforce your edges if they are too thin or they will crack. If you were choosing to put these onto sticks for the ultimate cake pop, gently poke the bottom with a small toothpick, then twist the lollipop stick less than a quarter of the way through the cup. Last but not least, let's top off the Frappuccino with the swirl topping. I make a vanilla marshmallow instead of frosting because it's the most stable and doesn't need to be refrigerated. This recipe calls for 5 teaspoons of unflavored gelatin and half of a cup of cold water that I'm stirring together and setting aside with Jack the Pumpkin for 5 minutes. Bear with me, we are playing musical chairs for this part. Into the mixer, pour in a quarter of a cup of corn syrup, so that's all ready to go. And pick up the gelatin that is set for 5 minutes and microwave that for 20 seconds. Now head to your stove and prepare a saucepan with a candy thermometer and pour in 3/4 of a cup of sugar, a quarter of a cup of water, and a quarter of a cup of corn syrup. Before turning on the stove, add your heated gelatin to the mixing bowl. Then you can start boiling the sugar mixture and turn the mixer on low speed at the same time. The sugar mixture is currently being brought to a boil until it reaches 240 degrees Fahrenheit to make a sugar syrup. When that's ready, remove from the heat and begin gradually streaming the sugar syrup down the side of the mixing bowl without directly pouring it into the beaters, or your marshmallow won't form properly. Turn it up to medium speed for 5 minutes. For another 5 minutes, beat on medium-high. And last, finish on the highest speed for 5 minutes. You will see that fluffy marshmallow come together. For the flavoring, pour in 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste. And when the vanilla paste is completely mixed in, the marshmallow should have a medium peak that flaps over like a bird's beak. I'll show you what that looks like. My favorite part is the decorating, of course, and I'm piping the marshmallow on with a 1M decorating tip. It is important to pipe immediately after beating the marshmallow or it will deflate. Finish it off with a sprinkle of pumpkin spice and everything nice, and a green straw that is the signature trademark of Starbucks. As for the logo, I purchased a sheet of Starbucks edible images from the Sugary Central shop on Etsy and stuck them onto each cup with a thin layer of corn syrup. They may move around when you first stick them on, but will adhere better later on. I hope you enjoyed making these Starbucks themed treats with me to kick off the season. It's Christina here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.